Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back on into the Blue Collar Psychiatrist. I am the Blue Collar Psychiatrist, offering opinions about various aspects of life. I don't claim to know everything, but I think that I do have common sense. Today's topic is one that I have engaged in the past. And that's why I have a sense of what this is about. The topic is the lone diner, D-I-N-E-R. What does this mean, the lone diner? How many times have you gone to a restaurant and you see people, could be 2, 3, 4 people together, they're eating, they're laughing, talking, and then something comes into your focus. You see an individual who is eating by himself or herself. What sort of emotion does that bring out of you? And I want to say this, this applies mainly to dinner time, not lunch. When I see this, probably when you see it, the person looks forlorn. They look perhaps a bit down. And you tend to feel sorry for them. Everyone else in that restaurant has company at the table with them, except for this one person. The point of this video is this: don't be that person who becomes the lone diner on a regular basis at the same restaurant. And I mean, when I say the same restaurant, to the point where their wait staff knows you, that they know you by name, that they talk to you. But you should also notice something else. To them, it is my opinion, and I've talked to some of them, they do feel sorry for that person who always comes in alone and eats by himself or herself. Now, I have seen this myself. Years ago, I can remember the first time that I saw this was I was in a restaurant and I saw a man who was balding and he was there eating alone. And there was just something about him. I just felt empathy for him. I felt sorry for him. It just brought out this sense of forlornness, aloneness that this man, I thought, was going through. And it is not a good idea, I must tell you, to be that type of a creature that returns to the same restaurant again and again and again, always alone. The staff treats you differently, and the person, himself or herself, I assume has some feelings of being alone and notices that and has some feelings perhaps of being down in the dumps because that's the way he appears to other people. And I have heard persons say, oh, that poor guy, he never seems to have anybody with him and I feel sorry for him. I have heard that. I've overheard that from some of the wait staff. And it's not just what others think of us. It's what we think of ourselves. What picture are we sending out to the world? What are we telling the world? We're telling the world that we're a loner, that we probably can't make friends very easily, and that we are not found to be that desirable to other people. That's what we're telling them. And they're going to react in a certain way. So what I'm saying to you is this, and I've repeated it, but I'm going to repeat it again. Don't be a lone diner at the same restaurant eating dinner repeatedly. If that is your case, and if you prefer to eat out, if you live alone and you don't feel like cooking, it's understandable. But here's the but. Mix it up. Go to various restaurants. Don't go to places where everybody knows you by your name and everything seems to be all right. In the long run, if you do that repeatedly, the people there, the wait staff, they kind of feel sorry for you. And you don't want that. You don't want, it's a bad look. Don't send out that picture to the world. It's bad. You know, some of these people in the New Age movement say, oh, I had this thought and I sent it out to the world. Well, what are you sending out to the world when you're repeatedly eating at the same restaurant alone? You don't want to do that. You're sending out the wrong message, and it's not something that you want to do for your own sense of self-worth. We can't get tied up about what other people think. But what do you think? How are you feeling about yourself repeatedly going to the same place? It's not a good look, and it's not a good feel to do that. If that person has any sense of introspection, I'm sure they would rather be with company, generally, unless there's something wrong mentally with them. But it's not the way to go. I've seen this in the past. Occasionally I have done it, and it is not, it's just a feeling of aloneness. And it's not something that I want to enforce or reinforce back into my head, that I'm sitting there alone while other people are engaged in conversation and in groups of 2 or more. Just not what I want for myself. So I advise you not to do that in the way that I mentioned, meaning same place, same restaurant, dinner time. Don't be the lone diner. Ladies and gentlemen, I remind you to drink and drink abundantly from the fountain of life. See you next time.